Welcome to a special episode of the Ubuntu Giving podcast dedicated to World Sickle Cell Day. On this day, we honor the resilience of individuals living with sickle cell disorder and celebrate those who have transformed their personal adversity into powerful advocacy. In today's episode, we have the privilege of featuring Winifred, a remarkable individual who has turned a personal experience with sickle cell into a journey of advocacy and compassion. Join us as we explore her story and how she's making a significant impact in the field of sickle cell advocacy. Welcome to the Ubuntu Giving podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this inspiring episode. Today we are shining a spotlight on World Sickle Cell Day and the incredible work of Winifred, a true champion in the fight against sickle cell disease. Our story is one of strength, one of determination, and an unwavering dedication to improving the lives of individuals with the disorder. Hi, Winifred. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi everyone, my name is Winifred. I am a lawyer and I'm Chief Operations Officer with TonyMay Foundation. So TonyMay Foundation is an organization committed to the care, awareness and advocacy for people living with sickle cell disorder in Nigeria. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Winifred. I'm so glad I met you. And before we go, into the agenda of today, we have culture where we encourage everyone to share stories of generosity. So I want to ask you one question. If you had one superpower that could make this world a better place or could save our world, what would it be?
If I had one superpower, I think I would improve the health and well-being of people generally, like make things better for everyone. Yes, so I think that's what my superpower would be. Make a world where everybody will live healthily and people will be able to, nobody will die needlessly. Yeah, nobody will die needlessly. So, a world where people will live healthily, less, no debt actually, and everybody will be satisfied. Yeah, that would be my superpower.
Who is the most generous person you've met, and what makes that person the most generous person?
Wow, that's tough. Most generous person. I don't think it's one person, right? I don't think it's one person. I will say my parents, and I will say my community, like around me, my church community. Yep. I'll say
Right.
my parents, my family, and then my church community. Yeah. True.
Okay.
I'm surrounded by generous people.
I can see
It's
that.
really a
That's
compliment.
amazing. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Um, I
True.
mean, thank God for being surrounded by such persons. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about, we are going into our agenda now. Could you start by sharing the background and significance of what you do? Sickle cell advocacy. Tell us about sickle cell disorder for those in our audience that may not have enough information, and then speak to your journey, in giving voice to this.
Okay. So, sickle cell disorder is a genetic condition. It's a genetic disorder that affects the red blood cells. So you know how the normal shape of the red blood cell is round, like ball shape, like the shape of a coin. But in people living with sickle cell disorder, it's in form of a banana or moon shape. So instead of the blood flowing freely, it's act shape. So it doesn't flow freely like other like the cell, like the round red blood cells would do. And because of that, it causes pain to the red blood to the blood vessel. So that part, instead of the blood flowing, the cells flowing freely, they become constricted, and because they are trying to push, it causes pain in the body of the person. especially in the joints. And sometimes it leads to very excruciating pain called sickle cell crisis. Then we also have issues of organ damages. Like sometimes, for example, there's what they call avascular necrosis, where the joints, the ball and socket joints will be worn out, and then it causes pain. Because of that, the person will have issues with mobility, find it difficult to walk, and goes through pain walking. Some people will have kidney issues, like organ damages generally affects it affects as in like if not parts of the body, almost all parts of the body. So that's why they always call for regular checkup. And then most times it even leads to death if not properly managed. And why it's really, really, really serious is because Nigeria has the highest number of people living with sickle cell disorder in the world. So Nigeria
Wow.
accounts for 53% of the population of people living with sickle cell disorder in the world. So 300,000 children are born annually with sickle cell disorder in Nigeria.
Wow.
So that means like in the next how many years will be like that. If not, if the government and other stakeholders do not put appropriate measures, it should be like a real it's already a public concern, public health concern. So in the US we have 100,000 100 million people live with sickle cell disorder. So but Nigeria has the highest number of people living with sickle cell disorder in the world. So that's why it's really important that we do this advocacy. And my own, like the reason why we started the TonyMay Foundation was because we lost two siblings to sickle cell disorder in the space of 6 months. That's
Wow.
between 2009 and 2010. So in the space of 6 months, we lost two siblings. And these are not just young, like little children. They're like adults that have already graduated from university. About like my younger sister, sorry, my elder sister Mary was about to go into law school when she passed. And
Wow.
yeah, and then my elder brother was about was about to go into NYC, about to do his youth service before he passed. So we created TonyMay Foundation so that no family will experience what we went through. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Winifred, for sharing that. I mean, this is amazing what you're doing, knowing that it stems from a personal experience and you want to ensure that no one else goes through what you've gone through. Uh, I really respect that. Let's touch on resilience. Let's touch on its role in driving advocacy. How does resilience play a part in your journey and the journeys of other advocates like you?
Our resilience really plays a very great role because um, there are some times, like especially in this part of the world where we live in, we make conscious efforts to advocate for about sickle cell disorder. But there are sometimes you go to communities and they may not really accept you, or when you try to um, seek the government's support, like in areas of advocacy, you go through challenges in those processes. Sometimes you feel like giving up, giving up, like general. But when you look at your journey, you look at the story, and you look at the people that you're caring for,
Right.
you just feel like you need to push on, you need to
True.
continue. And then for a non-profit, you know that there are so many challenges in running non-profits. We have the issue of personnel, human resources issues, funding issues. So when you look at all those challenges, there's an urge to say stop or pause, but something keeps driving you, something keeps propelling you that you are doing this for a purpose. So this pushes you on. This makes you to keep going, keep running. So this is how it's not just me. A lot of sickle cell non-profits in Nigeria and in Africa generally.
Right.
So yeah, yes,
I mean, there you have it, everyone. Resilience plays a huge role. Living with this disorder requires immense strength, and drawing on personal, experiences, right, to navigate the challenges you face. It's amazing. It's amazing. Well done,
thank
Winifred.
you.
You've
Thank
already
you.
shared, thank you. You've already shared a lot of information as per, sickle cell in Nigeria, how it's the country with the highest number of people with sickle cell. How can individuals, get involved, and replicate what you're already doing in their communities?
Great, very great question. So um, you can get involved by becoming a volunteer. You can be a sickle cell advocate for TonyMay Foundation or any other sickle cell organization in your community. Um, if while volunteering, you are joining in the advocacy for sickle cell disorder. Then you could also start up a sickle cell. Um, you could start up a sickle cell club in your community with 2 or 3 people. Gather. We already have a handbook that has information about sickle cell disorder. It's available on our website, www.foundation.org. So we already have resources. So if you can sign up to be a volunteer. You can also sign up to start up a sickle cell club, and we'll provide you with those resources that you could use to educate people in your community. It's 2 or 3 people, you are great to go. Then you could also, some people don't need necessarily have to be the leg. Um, they could actually use their resources. They could donate towards the Autonomy Foundation's advocacy, and then through that, we can carry out more advocacy. We could care for more people, but get more medications for people living with sickle cell disorder. And then you could take part in our sickle cell summit, which is coming up on the 14th of September, um, 2023. That's this year. So there are so many ways you can join, be part of TonyMay Foundation's sickle cell advocacy, as well as sickle cell advocacies generally, sickle cell organizations in Nigeria generally. So yes, to be great to have you on board.
Thank you so much. So I think this is like my okay, not my final question, but we're getting pretty close to the end of this podcast. Are there champions or supporters you would love to celebrate?
Wow. Yes, I would love to celebrate. I love to celebrate Esther. Esther Amuson. She's actually a student. She's a law student, and then she actually volunteered, committed her time towards sickle cell advocacy in Nigeria, and she's been amazing. Even like combined studies her with her work, with the work at the Foundation generally. Though it's challenging, but she actually carries on effortlessly. Then I would like to also celebrate Jamila. Jamila is a sickle cell advocate in the US. She's based in Kansas. She's a member of Red Owens Foundation, Sickle Cell Foundation. She um she's a Twitter advocate on sickle cell. So these are the voices that we need to celebrate. She actually amplifies sickle cell disorder on Twitter. So we need
Wow.
to yes. So we need to honor them, celebrate them because of the amazing work they do towards sickle cell disorder.
Thank you so much, Winifred. My final question. As a movement builder, what is your vision for the future of generosity and philanthropy in the fight against, you know, sickle cell disorder across the continent?
I looking at a future where the corporate there'll be a corporate move, like a future where the corporate um donors, the corporate organizations also key into movements like such as advocacy through their corporate social responsibility. Because corporate corporate individuals have a role to towards amplifying um any cause, be it cancer, be it sickle cell disorder, be it HIV. Uh, I look at the time where the corporate organizations we key into organizations like with all their strength and might, and they would like, especially in the area of sickle cell disorder, they will take it as one of their CSR and put all the resources towards strengthening capacity in the area of sickle cell advocacy, just like it was done with the HIV globally. So I see the future of corporate organization keying into um, advocacy, not only with sickle cell, but in other causes. And then I also look at where, like, causes such as sickle cell disorder, like, will not just be um they will not just be like a region based affair. It will be like a global movement where everybody will put all their resources towards ensuring that we all speak with one voice regarding sickle cell disorder. Yes, so this is where I look at, this is the future of philanthropy, future of generosity. So I'm looking at not just individuals, I'm looking at corporate organizations keying into causes as well as um, everybody, like globally keying into one cause and taking it as their own. This is what I'm looking at, like in the nearest future.
Amazing, amazing. And so we have come to the end of this podcast. Winifred, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for showing up, and sharing your story. Thank you so much. Now I'm thanking you, for taking
Thank
this on as an advocate, giving voice, to this
you.
disorder, and ensuring, yes, empowering our youth as well. Well done.
Thank
So
you very much.
right. Earlier on, I asked you some questions about generosity, if you had a superpower, and if you know who the most generous person is in your life. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask me just one question. It doesn't have to be the questions I asked you, but if you have a question you want to ask me right away, I'm all ears. You have just one question.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So I've not really thought about one, but let me see. So if you have like a challenge that you would like to solve, like you could solve it instantly, what would that be?
Hmm. I think that would be the problem of sexual grooming. You
Okay.
see, so cross-generational sexual relationship is kind of tricky, especially in Nigeria. And I know you understand what I mean. Seeing as it's not child marriage, but it can lead to child marriage. It's not sexual
Mm-hmm.
assault or rape, but it could lead to these things. And we
Okay.
see that a lot of adolescents are being groomed into sexual relationships with men that are two, three, four, five, 6 times older than them, young children,
Mhm.
teenagers, right? And most
Yeah.
times, when this adolescent find themselves that they've been tricked into this relationship, it becomes more difficult for them to speak up because they feel that they
Mm.
consented to that relationship, right? And yeah, so
Yeah.
we are looking at how we can, reduce the rate of cross generational sexual relationship. And I am, let me not say we, this is something I'm really passionate about because I feel if we tackle this, we can tackle the rise of teenage pregnancies, unplanned pregnancies. We can
Yeah.
tackle the rise of HIV and AIDS prevalence among our youth and teenagers. We can
Yeah.
also tackle the rates of school dropout, and it could really significantly reduce child marriage and the occurrences of sexual assault.
That's amazing. And that's a really great cause that we should continue to like speak about
Thank you.
because yeah. I look forward to hearing more about about yeah. I'm hearing it for the first time and that's really interesting. So I look forward to hearing more about sexual abuse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's really
Thank
been
you all
nice
for listening
having
to this. Sure. Thank you all for listening to this episode. We hope that you've been informed, you've been educated, and you've been inspired to create change in some way. Remember that through the power of storytelling and shared experiences, we can create a world, where generosity thrives and issues like the sickle cell disorder is better understood, individuals are supported, and advocacy efforts can lead to positive change. Thank you so much for listening and join us in our next episode.